Once upon a time, in the wacky world of the pharmaceuticals, there was GeoPharm, a company founded by the veterinary biologist Ronald Crown. And where did Ronald decide to set up shop? Just in the picturesque island in the Bonai archipelago, because nothing says let's cure diseases like a tropical getaway. Ronald, along with his trusty friend Chase Barrister, set out to conquer Kuru, a disease that sounds more like a tropical cocktail than a medical ailment. Breaking news. What is Kuru? Kuru is a neurological disease endemic to the Papua New Guinea region. It is widely passed among the local tribes and is believed to be the cause of the zombie outbreak. The virus contains strains of HIV as well as the contraction of spongiform encephalopathy, also known as prion diseases. The effects of the transmissible spongiform encephalopathy include the deterioration of physical and mental capabilities and include gradual memory loss as well as a sensation of intense and indescribable pain. The disease later on causes slurred speech and eventually total loss of verbal communication. From research of the actual disease, Kuro is as well as spongiform encephalopathy. It is possible that the population outside of the jungle areas as Royal Palms Resorts and Moresby contracted the new strain of the disease from the consumption of livestock that made their way into the food supply. Back to you, narrator. Amidst the beakers and the test tubes, scientists scrambled to find a cure, but their efforts were often met with mishaps. But just when they were on the verge of greatness, disaster struck. Instead of finding the cure, they stumbled upon a stash of expired snacks in the break room fridge. A major setback alert. Chaos ensues as monkeys escape from their cages as the scientists grappled with caffeinated monkeys and spilled coffee. Ronald and Chase pondered the absurdity of their situation. Fast forward to Emery Crown, the only son of Ronald Crown, who inherits the family business after his dad's untimely demise. With the help of a mysterious organization, cue the dramatic music, Emery dives headfirst into continuing his father's research, because why solve one problem when you can inherit a whole island of them? Armed with the newfound resources and a hefty dose of determination, Emery embarks on a quest to unlock the secrets of Kuru. Knowing that Emery, planning to continue his father's work, Chase Barrister, the brilliant scientist, he decided to blow the lid off GeoPharm's secret experiments faster than you can say, oops, wrong test tube. But just when he's about to spill the beans, tragedy strikes in the form of a horrible accident, because nothing says convenient plot twist like a mysterious death. And here we get introduced to Kevin Barrister, Chase's son, and the man on a mission to wreak havoc on Emery Crown and GeoPharm. With a scowl that could curdle milk and a grudge that's bigger than a Kardashian's entourage, Kevin is ready to stir up some trouble. But first, he needs to come up with a revenge plan that's more foolproof than a waterproof umbrella. Meanwhile, in a plot twist that even M. Night Shyamalan would envy, the Chinese government decides to crash GeoPharm's party faster than a hungry panda at a bamboo buffet. So, meet the dynamic duo, Agent Double Trouble and Agent Undercover Extraordinaire, sent on a top-secret mission to uncover the truth behind GeoPharm's shady shenanigans. One's headed to Narapela, the island of scientific secrets, while the other's off to crash the swanky executive summit at the Royal Palms Resort on Panay. So, say hello to Chian Mie, the stealthy spy with more disguises than a chameleon with a masquerade ball. With a flick of her wrist and a twirl of her hairpin, she's ready to blend in faster than a ninja and a sea of tourists. Welcome to Dead Island, where the party never stops, but the zombies sure know how to crush it. Getting into an unnamed drunken sailor, stumbling through the hotel corridors like a drunk flamingo in a disco ballroom. Along the way, we meet the crew of the main survivors' protagonists, Logan Carter, the charming rogue with a knack for getting into trouble, Sam B, the rapper whose beats are as infectious as the undead, and Berna Jackson, the tough cookie with the main right hook, and Chen Mie, the stealthy ninja who could probably karate chop a zombie with her eyes closed. Stumbling into the room, little does our survivors know that they are about to wake up to a hangover from hell, complete with a side of zombies for breakfast. Our not-so-sober protagonists wake up in a room that's less hotel chic and more zombie chic. Surrounded by equally blurry-eyed survivors, they quickly realize they've partied their way into a full-blown zombie apocalypse, with a voice crackling over the intercom like a drunk DJ, guiding them through the undead chaos. Our heroes stumble and bumble their way through the hotel, narrowly avoiding becoming the next item on the zombie brunch menu. But just when they think they're safe, a zombie ruins their morning, knocking them out. Waking up in a beach hut, surrounded by survivors, sounds like the start of a tropical vacation gone wrong. But this group of heroes isn't about to let a little zombie infestation ruin their island getaway. With zombies crashing their beach party like an uninvited guest, the survivors make a mad dash to the lifeguard tower, because nothing says safety like seeking refuge in a glorified watchtower. Armed with a duct tape, determination, and maybe a few questionable snacks scavenged from the beach, the heroes embark on a quest for supplies that would make even Bear Grylls proud. And let's not forget the radio, the one link to sanity in a sea of undead chaos. Too bad it's about as helpful as a broken GPS in the middle of Bermuda Triangle. But wait, there's more. The survivors decide that a little field trip to the big city is in order, because what's zombie apocalypse without scenic tour of the undead-infested metropolis? For some supplies, of course, and food, with a stolen truck and a mechanic with a penchant for turning vehicles into zombie-smashing machines, the heroes are about to turn that truck into four-wheeled fortress fit for a zombie killer king. Or at least they hope so. After defending the workshop, the mechanic makes them promise to take his daughter, Jen, with them to protect her, as he's been bitten and will soon turn. But there's a catch. Jen is a feisty and unpredictable teenager who's more likely to get them into trouble than out of it. As they reluctantly agree to take her along, they can't help but wonder if they're better off facing the zombies alone. The joys of post-apocalyptic parenting, where taking care of your own kids is just a warm-up act. The heroes find themselves saddled with a new addition to their zombie-fighting family, Jen, the mechanic's daughter, because nothing says bonding experience like promising to protect someone from flesh-eating monsters like that never gone wrong. With Jen in tow, the brave band of survivors embarks on a journey to Moresby, the bustling hub of the undead activity. But hey, who needs Google Maps when you've got church bells to guide the way? Nothing like following the sound of holy chaos to lead you to salvation. Upon arriving at the Church of Survivors, the heroes are greeted with open arms, or more accurately, open fire, as they fend off a horde of zombies. But never fear, the heroes are more than up to the task, because when life gives you zombies, you make zombie aid. With the church saved and the water supply restored, our heroes find themselves faced with their next challenge, navigating the sewers to the rich side of Moresby, because when the bridge to prosperity gets blown up, the only logical solution is to take the scenic route to the city's underbelly, the glamour of urban exploration in the zombie apocalypse. Now into the classic tale of City Hall bureaucracy meets supply showdown. The survivors find themselves face to face with the mayor, who delivers the news that they're fresh out of snacks. But for where there's a will, there's a Jen. Jen, with her persuasive powers and a little nudge from a helpful town hall member, our hero sets off on another sewer adventure, because apparently it's the express route to all the best looting spots. Who needs GPS when you've got the sweet aroma of canned goods to guide you? After a showdown with the looters that would make even the bravest cowbone clippers think twice, the heroes emerge victorious, their shopping carts brimming with supplies, because in the battle of grocery store aisle supremacy, there's no room for hesitation or for sharing. But just when they think they've hit the jackpot, disaster strikes. Jen, the fearless supply runner, gets herself captured by a gang of rascal thugs at the police station. With a mixture of determination and perhaps a few well-placed jokes to lighten the mood, our heroes gear up for their next daring rescue mission. Armed with courage and enough canned beans to last a lifetime, they set off to bring Jin back to safety and finally restock the snack supply at the church and the lifeguard. After navigating through more twists and turns, the heroes finally make it back to the church. Jin in tow and a truckload of supplies in hand, Mother Helen welcomes them with open arms. But her warm embrace is short-lived, as they're soon off on their next adventure. Their destination, the Lifeguard Tower, where apparently some of their pals decided to play with radios and antennas like they're in a zombie-themed game of Guess the Frequency. They arrive just in time to find their buddies tinkering with the radio, shouting phrases like, "Can you hear me now?" and "Testing, testing." But just as they're about to give up hope, they finally get a signal, and who's in the other end? None other than Colonel Ryder White. Yes, a man with a plan and a mysterious location, the prison island in the middle of the bay. Cue the dramatic music and skeptical glances as our heroes contemplate whether they're about to be rescued or led into yet another zombified trap. Despite their reservations, they agree to follow White's instructions, which include a detour into the wild and wacky world of the Minjand jungle. Their mission: find a guy named Moen who apparently holds the key to a secret laboratory hidden deep in the jungle, because nothing makes more sense for a cure for the zombie apocalypse like a laboratory in the middle of nowhere. With more questions than answers and enough skepticism to fill a conspiracy theorist corkboard, the heroes set off into the jungle, ready to face whatever bizarre twists and turns awaits them in their quest for a cure. Will they find Moen? Will they survive the jungle's many dangers? And most importantly, will they ever get the chance to ask Colonel White why he's so obsessed with finding a cure? As our daring adventurers venture through the jungle, they find themselves in a situation more tangled than tangle, or an eating club on caffeine. Jen leads the way through a maze of decrepit Japanese bunkers from World War II, where they dodge cobwebs thicker than a grandma's knit sweater and mutant fatties bigger than Smosh Future. It's like a scene straight out of Halloween, the sequel. Now with more screaming. But that's just the warm-up. Next stop, Afran's raided village, where the leader Matsutoro insists they play hero and recover their stolen weapons before he'll even consider helping. It's like being trapped in an action movie with a script written by Saturday morning cartoon villain. So off they go, chasing after a friend's goons like they're trying to win a prize at the world's most dangerous carnival, dodging pellets, ducking for cover, and trading blows like they're auditioning for a wrestling match. They finally emerge victorious, armed to the teeth and ready to take on whatever the jungle throws their way. With their newfound boat in tow, they set sail for Moen, where they hope he leads them to find the laboratory to end the zombie madness. But little do they know, the real adventure is just beginning, with Moen reluctantly agreeing to lend a hand. It's only a matter of time before they're knee-deep in test tube, zombie spit, and enough wacky hijinks to fill a sitcom marathon. As the fearless gang stumbles into the lab, they're met with a sight that would make even Dr. Frankenstein blush. Scientists scurry about like caffeinated hamsters, baker's teeters in the edge of explosion, and the air is thick with the smell of burnt toast and failed experiments. It's chaos with a side of questionable ethics, and the heroes can't help but wonder if they've accidentally wandered into a mad scientist's dream come true, complete with questionable hairdos and an overabundance of safety goggles. But our gang isn't phased. Oh no, they dive right in, ready to lend a hand in the name of science, or maybe just to see what kind of trouble they can stir up. They're like kids in a candy store, except instead of candy, it's vials of zombie blood and questionable experiments that could blow up in their faces. With the power back on and the vending machines fully stocked with snacks and food supply secured because even mad scientists need their Doritos fix, the crew gets down to business. Well, as much business as you can get down to when you are surrounded by bubbling test tubes and questionable lab equipment that looks like it was salvaged from yard sale. The heroes turn their attention to the real prize, snagging a blood sample from some unsuspecting natives who just happen to be immune to the zombie infection. It's like trying to steal candy from a baby, if that baby happened to be armed with blue dots and a serious attitude problem. But hey, when you're in a quest to save the world from a zombie apocalypse, you've got to take some risk, right? And if those risks involve dodging poison-tipped arrows and running for your life through the jungle, well, that's just another day in the life of our fearless heroes. As our crew gears up for their next wild adventure, they're greeted with Dr. Baldy, aka Robert West, the quintessential mad scientist with a penchant for bizarre requests. I mean, seriously, who asked for a tissue sample from a mummy? Is this some kind of a twisted version of show and tell? Undeterred by the sheer absurdity of their mission, the heroes set out accompanied by none other than Koretwea of the local witch doctor, who has more theatrics than magic, thankless eye of newt, and more dramatic hand gesture. But as luck would have it, their quest take a turn for the worse, resulting in a rescue mission gone awry. A damsel named Yerema who's in distress, who's more trouble than she's worth, and a witch doctor who turned out to be a cray-cray. How unexpected his end is unexpected. He died. Back in the boat, they stumble upon Moen, who's fending off zombies with about as much grace as a cat on a hot tin roof. Talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place, or in this case, between the living dead and a rescue squad armed with questionable wits and even shakier aim. With Moen safely aboard, the crew earning themselves some serious street cred in the process, heading back to the lab where they deliver their unconventional prize to Dr. West. But just when they thought they could clock out of the day, Moen drops a bombshell. He knows how to navigate the treacherous sea minefield surrounding the high security prison. Talk about a plot twist. And so, armed with equal parts courage and sheer dumb luck, the heroes set sail once more, ready to tackle whatever ludicrous challenges the universe decides to throw their way. After all, when life hands you mummies and sea mines, you've got two choices, laugh or cry. And frankly, laughter seems like a much better option. Unless, of course, they're facing down a horde of zombies, then it's every person for themselves. Comedy be damned. As our crew sails through the turbulent seas of bonai, they leave Yerima with Dr. West, hoping he doesn't accidentally turn her into a zombie-killing Winnipeg. Meanwhile, Moen takes the helm, guiding them through Black Hill Forest. Their first stop, the prison, where they plan to butter up a prisoner named Titius Capoy, with promises of some cool stuff and a suspiciously large bribe, because in the zombie apocalypse nothing says diplomacy like cold hard bargain. But before they can even say cash cow, they realize they're running on fumes. Quite literally, I'm afraid, because apparently fuel management isn't their forte. In their way, just when they think they've got a handle on things, Ryder White bursts in like a caffeinated chipmunk with the news of screens at the lab. Cue the panic stations and the race against time. Returning to the lab, they're greeted with scenes straight out of a cheesy horror flick, scientists running amok, zombies crashing the party, and chaos reigning supreme. But fear not, for the heroes manage to snatch the cure and rescue Yerima, proving once again that they're the kings and queens of chaos management. With the cure secured and Yerima safe and sound, they set their sight back on the prison. As the crew tiptoes through the minefield of prison politics, they strike a deal with Tedious that's shadier than a politician handshake. First, they offer to stock up the cell block pantry, but end with more food fights than supplies. Then, in a stroke of what they hope is genius, they try to arm the inmates, only to end up with more inmates fighting over the weapons than actual weapons. But just when they think they've hit rock bottom, White swoops in like a plot twist on steroids, offering a secret shortcut through the prison into the sewers. It's like Spa Day, but with more experiment. Emerging from the murky depths like drowned rats, they stumble upon Jen and Yarama in the shower, because of course they do. Cue the awkward small talk and the inevitable zombie ambush, turning their impromptu reunion into a wet and wild brawl. Sounds like yeah, I'm not going there. With chaos erupting faster than a gossip session in a high school cafeteria, they hop on the elevator to White's lair, only to find themselves gassed faster than a fraternity pledge on his first night out. As the heroes groggily rise from their unscheduled nap, courtesy of Colonel White's impromptu gas attack, they're greeted by Kevin, the bearer of less than ideal news. They learn that White pulled a classic villain move, gassed them, and swept the cure faster than a sneaky raccoon pilfering from a picnic basket. Kevin's got more gossip than a high school rumor mill. He spills the tea that White's also planning to turn bonai into a fiery barbecue pit with a sign of radioactive fallout. Talk about taking scorched earth policy to a whole new level, with the request now in an adrenaline fueled by a race against time and a mushroom cloud, the gang speeds through the chaos of the prison hospital, dodging zombies like they're late for a pop quiz, and the undead are the hall monitors. Spoilers alert, they fail gym class. But just when they think they've got White cornered, they find themselves in the rooftop, facing off against an army of soldiers, a horde of zombies, and his undead missus, who's had a serious case of the past life makeover. They confront the colonel, who spills the beans about his plan to outsource the cure to Australia, like it's the latest tech startup. And just when you think things couldn't get any weirder, Jen decides to play matchmaker for the undead couple, releasing Mrs. White, who promptly takes a big bite out of her husbando, turning him from Colonel to Crazy Colonel Chamber. Then White, being angry, shoots Jen, which she falls to her doom over the ledge. Rest in peace, Jen. White is forced to slap himself with the antidote, so he don't turn, but unfortunately it didn't help, turning him into an abomination, literally. Cue the epic battle of the century, complete with mutant monster misfired one-liners and more explosions than a 4th of July fireworks display. But fear not, our gangi emerges victorious again, thanks in no small part to Kevin's trusty helicopter, which whisks them away to safety faster than you can say, grab your sunscreen, we're headed for the apocalypse. And as they soar into the sunset, with the news of their escapades blaring in the background, like a zombie-themed reality show, one thing's for certain, Banoi may be down, but our heroes are definitely not out. Rest in peace to all the survivors we met along the way. It is implied that the hacker that is mentioned at the end of the game, Kieran, who caused the outbreak, is actually Kevin. Yes, Kevin the prisoner. This is later confirmed in Ryder White's campaign. This reveal confirms Kieran as one of the main antagonists of the game, alongside his employers, the Consortium. The Consortium, also simply known as the Organization, is a secret and global society and serve as the series' unseen antagonist. Having put into the motion the events of the series, the Consortium is a massive organization with countless agents in high places, including the government, military, and even the political spectrum, allowing them massive resources and capital to fulfill their objectives. And what's their objective, you might ask?
World domination! Faster world domination! Wahoo! Total world domination! Very world domination!
Once upon a time, In a world where common sense took a vacation, there lived a trio of wannabe adventurers. Cliff, the fearless leader with the brains of a popsicle stick, Devon, whose courage was rivaled only by his IQ, and Linda, the voice of reason, who got outvoted faster than a reality TV contestant. Their grand plan is to hijack Cliff's daddy's yacht and set sail for the Panay archipelago, where zombies supposedly roamed free, like tourists at an all-you-can-eat buffet. Armed with enough stupidity to fill a Harry Potter series book and a boatload of overconfidence, they set sail blissfully, unaware that they were about to become the stars of a horror flick nobody asked for. Literally, no one. As the waves rocked their stolen vessel, they sang sea shanties and cracked jokes, completely oblivious to the impending doom lurking on the horizon. But as fate would have it, their voyage took a detour straight into Bermuda Triangle of bad decisions. Linda, ever the voice of reason, tried to steer them clear, but her protests fell on deaf ears. Ears was too busy dreaming of Instagram fame and fortune to hear the warning bells ringing. And so, dear viewers, our fearless trio sailed off into the sunset, their fate sealed tighter than a can of sardines as they disappeared over the horizon. The world held its breath, wondering if they'd return as heroes or become just another cautionary tale of what happens when you mix stupidity with seawater. Spoilers alert, they weren't the heroes. Linda and Devon met their untimely demise in a manner so ridiculous it would make Scooby-Doo blush. While Cliff, well, let's just say he discovered that zombies have a taste for more than just brains. But fear not, for their misadventures live on as a testament to the timeless wisdom of maybe don't steal your dad's yacht and sail off into zombie-infested sunset just to make him proud because he's big news guy. Anyway, here's to Cliff, Devon, and Linda. May their legacy serve as a cautionary tale for generations of would-be adventurers, reminding them that sometimes the only thing waiting at the end of the rainbow is a horde of hungry zombies and a whole lot of regret. And the regret to play that game. Fresh from their harrowing escape from Panay, just when they thought they were safe and sound aboard a military ship, reality decided to pull a fast one on them. Turns out they're not cruising towards freedom and pina coladas. They are actually on a one-way trip to Zombievale. Population then, as they languish in their makeshift prison, the survivors are about to get subjected to a series of experiments. But hey, who needs ethical guidelines when you've got a ship full of zombies to deal with, right? Entering John Morgan, the unlikely hero with a knack for getting into and out of trouble. With his arrival, things take a turn for the worse, because apparently the zombie apocalypse just can't resist crushing their party. One fateful morning, our heroes wake up to find their cozy ship overrun by the undead, who are probably just looking for a midnight snack. Cue the epic battle montage as they fight tooth and nail through hordes of zombies, dodging limbs and bad breath with equal fervor. But wait, it wouldn't be a proper zombie apocalypse without a few surprises, right? Just when they think they've reached safety, they come face to face with the ultimate undead villain, the Captain. Yep, you heard that right. Apparently, even high-ranking military officials aren't immune to the charms of zombification. As if that wasn't enough, Colonel Hardy decides to give Titanic a run for its money by steering the ship straight into disaster. Because why settle for a peaceful cruise when you can crash land on Palanai, the vacation spot of choice for the undead elite? Well, looks like the survivors traded in their sunscreen for a hearty dose of zombie-infested shenanigans, aka Palanai, the island gateway where the only thing more infectious than the sunburn is the undead horde. Tumbling into the scene, the ever-charming Harlow Jordan. Forget Leah greetings, These folks are greeted with a chunky dose of zombie chaos and a sign of welcome to the apocalypse as they make their way to Paradise Survival Camp. It's like a tropical vacation gone wrong. Zombies crushing the party, survivors scrambling like hermit crabs in a storm, and our heroes, well, let's just say they're building barricades faster than you can say, I should have stayed home. Next stop is Henderson, the city where the military is supposed to swoop in and save the day. Spoiler alert, the only thing swooping is in a flock of undead seagulls eyeing your brains like a beachside buffet. So what's the plan, you ask? Do they hop on a boat like seasoned sailors? Nope, those ships sailed faster than a tourist booking it from a beachside bar. Ask Kenny about it.
On my boat, I guess. There'll be boats. Get on a damn boat. Where up those boats? Find a boat. And it's gotta be a boat. Single boat left the boat. See where that boat out there is. I took another look at the boat. Oh, my boat? The boat's not big enough. Up into that boat when I go. Here's our fucking boat. Give me a fucking break.
And the road to Henderson, let's just say it's more washed out than a tourist brochure promising endless sunshine. But hey, who needs a road when you've got underground tunnels? Again, that's right folks, it's time to splunk your way through Balanai's very own zombie-themed amusement park. Think of it as a tropical vacation, with a side of spine-tingling terror and enough adrenaline to power a jet ski into the underground. Looks like the survivors have traded in their beach towels for a pair of zombie-infested flippers, diving deep into the tunnels of Balanai. The fearless survivors are knee-deep in water, fighting off the undead horde while desperately trying to build a water bomb. But wait, there is more. As if battling zombies aren't enough, now they've got the living to contend with. That's right folks, it's a showdown between the undead and the living, with the hero stuck in the middle like a soggy sandwich at a zombie picnic. And just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, they stumble upon a crossing to Henderson that's been hijacked by a bunch of convicts. It's like a prison break meets a zombie apocalypse, a cocktail of chaos. The heroes don't go down without a fight, armed with nothing but their wits and a few trusty weapons. They take on the convict with all the finesse of a dance-off at a zombie prom. And if that weren't enough, now they've got a fairy to catch. What's that noise? It's screeching louder than a banshee with a bad case of a stage fright. It's like a karaoke showdown from hell, with our heroes belting out their battle cries louder than a chorus of howler monkeys on a caffeine binge. Commercial break. What is this beautiful specimen? The Screamer have the ability to emit a loud piercing shriek that can blur the vision and knock the heroes down or stun them in place as they cover their ears. To make matter worse, their ear-piercing scream will draw infected and walkers. Okay, back on air. 3, 2, 1. Back to our group of survivors. They finally make it to Henderson, only to find the city in a worse state than a buffet before a zombie apocalypse. Yep, it's completely overrun with the undead, and even the military base is serving up brains instead of battle plans. So what do our heroes do? Do they throw in the towel and book the next flight out of Zombieland? No, they decide to set up shop in the coolest place they can find, an old movie theater. Because if you're gonna fight off zombies, you might as well do it in a style, right? Let's just hope Bill Murray learned how to prank. Hold your boxers. The brave survivors decide to check out the military base to call for backup, only to get a response from none other than Frank Serpo, the shadiest guy than all of the politicians combined. Okay, not that much, but you get it. He claims the colonel is toast and offers to send a chopper to rescue them. But the heroes aren't born yesterday. They smell a rat faster than a zombie sniffs out brains. As the chopper descends, Serpo tries to pull a fast one, hoping to ditch the heroes and save his own skin. Classic villain move. But our Colonel Hardy isn't having any of it. He tries to jump abroad, thinking he can outsmart the bad guy, but ends up getting shot instead. Ouch. In a moment of sheer brilliance or sheer panic, Logan wipes out a rocket launcher and takes matters into his own hands. He sends that chopper crushing down faster than you can say, "Run, Forrest, run." And just like that, the ride out of Dodge is nothing but scrap metal. But hey, at least they've got a new hangout spot at the old fort, right? Sure, it's not exactly a five-star resort, but it beats sharing popcorn with zombies at the movies any day. Hold on to your funny bones, because the survivors stumble upon an injured pilot who spills the beans. Turns out Serpo, yeah, that's good she did, sacrificed the pilot to distract the undead, so he could make run for it. Another classic move. Then the heroes track down Serpo, who's been in more stories than a politician during election seasons. He's pointing fingers faster than you can say conspiracy theory, blaming Harlow for all sorts of shenanigans. According to Serpo, Harlow's been cooking up a diabolical plan to sell the virus and make a boatload of cash. Talk about get rich quick scheme gone wrong, eh? So what do the heroes do? They kick down the quarantine zone, of course, like a bunch of action movie stars, and charge headfirst into the chaos. But what do they find? All the human survivors are goners, and Harlow's in the middle of a full-blown rant, spouting off about government conspiracies and bioweapons. But there's where things go from wild to downright wacky. Harlow, in a move that's equal part desperation and sheer insanity, jabs herself with a dose of mutagen and decides to throw it down with the heroes. Yep, you heard that right, but she ends up KO'd fatality style. What is mutagen, you say? Mutagen is the stuff dreams, or should I say nightmares, are made of. The fearless heroes decides to take a swig of this magical potion to level the playing field against Harlow. Because why fight zombies with just your wits and weapons when you can add a splash of mutant madness into the mix? After what can only be described as a mutant dance-off of epic proportions, the heroes emerge victorious, albeit slightly more mutated than before. Nobody said saving the world would leave you looking like a runaway model, right? But just when they thought they could sail off into the sunset, or more accurately into the sunrise, that the startly Serbo makes a grand entrance, begging for forgiveness and promising to cure them of their mutagen-induced woes, like they're gonna fall for that one. Instead, they bid him adios and leave him to face the wrath of the infected. Talk about a bite-sized serving of karma. As the heroes sail away to the tune of Eye of the Tiger, or maybe it's just in their heads, they glance back at their former haunts, the hospital camp and the movie theater, now overrun with zombies. Guess they won't be catching the latest blockbuster anytime soon. And as the heroes sail off into the unknown, leaving Palanai and Panoy behind like yesterday's news, leaving us with one burning question. What's next for our survivors? Will they find Paradise Island free of zombies? Or are they just sailing from one nightmare to the next? Or is it the end? But hold on to your own bums, folks, because the adventure doesn't end there. 6 days later, a ram passes through the security shutters, reminding us that the zombie apocalypse is like a bad house guest. It won't just leave. 10 years later, the grand old city of Angeles, where zombies roam like they're on a sightseeing tour and the apocalypse is just another day in paradise. Our protagonist, called the Slayer, boards Flight 71 Heavy, a military evacuation flight that's about as safe as a game of tag with a hungry zombie. But hold on to your peanut, my guys, because there's a twist. Along for the ride is none other than Robert Steele, who managed to snag a seat faster than you can say upgrade to undead class. Talk about the in-flight entertainment. Of course, no zombie saga would be complete without a crash landing to really spice things up, and of course sewers. Anyway, after surviving the skydive of their life, the Slayer meets Emma John and her crew of apocalypse aficionados. But just before they can kick back and relax at Emma's mansion, the Slayer gets an unexpected bite. Talk about a party favor gone wrong. Cue the dramatic music as the Slayer stumbles their way to Emma's doorstep, holding into consciousness like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. We all know how that feels. Well, they make it in one piece. Will they survive though? And most importantly, will Emma Mansion have enough snacks to satisfy even the hungriest of survivors? Find out after this commercial break. You might be wondering what happened to the original group. Well, they are alive, but hopefully we see them in future installments of this ordeal. Back to you, narrator. Okay, news guy. Well, it looks like the Slayer isn't just the average Joe or Jane. Turns out they're as immune to the zombie virus as a cat is to water. Imagine the undead scratching their heads in confusion. But there's more. Eager to leave the zombie-filled circus that is LA, the Slayer sets their sight on contacting the authorities about their newfound superpower. Emma, the trusty guide through this undead carnival, points them towards the Holborn Hotel, where the military is supposedly holed up. But hold into your hats, Major G.S. Boker, the last survivor standing, is belting out orders over the intercom like it's karaoke night at the apocalypse, revealing that they have been dissolving zombies in the hotel pool. Talk about a chemical cocktail. Anyway, just when the Slayer thinks he got a handle on the situation, someone called Vicky Rosso walks in, ready to rain on their parade like a zombie-filled thunderstorm. With the Major's key in hand and Becky's shenanigans dealt with, aka KO'd, the Slayer makes a beeline for the ballroom, where they use the radio to contact Dr. Euban Reed, because who doesn't love a little undead chit-chat over the airwave? And here the plot thickens faster than a zombie soup. Dr. Reed, claiming to be the CDC's MVD, most valuable doctor, sees the Slayer as the key ingredient in wiping out a vaccine against the undead epidemic. Talk about putting your brains to good use, for real. You hear that, you slimy zombies? But before the Slayer can rally the gang for a road trip to Dr. Reed's vaccination vacation spot at the Sterling Hotel, they've got some housekeeping to do, literally. Here's Michael Anders, Emma's trusty sidekick, or PA, as they call it in the biz. He has gone missing. Off, the Slayer goes on a wild goose chase, or should I say a wild zombie chase, to find Michael. But hold on to your nuts, because this isn't your average scavenger hunt. The Slayer stumbles upon Jessica, who got more secrets than a zombie appetite, and sends them on a wild goose chase to Monarch Studios, where Michael's being hunted down like a juicy brain burger by none other than Alices Hernandez. After a heart-pounding rescue mission, the Slayer gets a buzz from none other than Sam B, who's got his sights set on some serious firepower. They're off to help Sam retrieve his guns from Nikki Gott. Back at Emma's mansion, things take a turn when Michael reveals his true colors as Zombie Green. The Slayer, showing more gods than a zombie Thanksgiving feast, takes care of the business, much to Emma's chagrin. Cue the dramatic exit music as the Slayer gets booted from the mansion like yesterday's leftover. Well, thank you. With a pep talk from Sam B and a one-way ticket to Brentwood Sewer. Not exactly the scenic route if you catch my drift. The Slayer meets Peyton, the Sewer's unsung hero, who swoops in to save the day, finishing that cute burster. Hold on to your bottoms, folks, because things are about to get weirder than a zombie flash mob at a disco. The Slayer navigating the sewer like a champ, stumbles upon a sight more horrifying than a zombie family reunion: a colossal blob of squishy, squelchy flesh, courtesy of the military's brilliant idea to dump dissolved zombies down the drain. Talk about clogging up the plumbing, huh? But wait, there's more. Just when the Slayer thinks they've seen it all, they find themselves teetering on a bridge above a horde of zombies, like a tightrope walker at a circus from hell. Enter Lola Conradit and her merry band of misfits, who decide the best way to open the Slayer's eyes is by giving them a good old push into the zombie abyss below. Cue the dramatic music as our Slayer taps into their inner zombie and goes on a rampage, clearing out the horde. You thought it's a zombie apocalypse, but it's more like Slayeropolis. Emerging from the sewer at Venice Beach, the Slayer's heroic deeds continue as they rescue survivors at the Blue Crab Grill, because who says you cannot fight zombies on an empty stomach? With Alex suggesting they make the beeline for the military zone at the Sterling Hotel, the Slayer braves the danger like a kid in a candy store, only instead of candy it's zombies, and instead of kids it's the Slayer. At the Sterling Hotel, they come face to face with Dr. Reed, who's more skeptical than a cat at a cucumber convention. The military will only lend a hand if the Slayer can prove their immunity, so off they go on another wild goose chase, this time to Santa Monica, PA for a blood sample. But hold on to your testis tubes, because the fun doesn't stop there. The Slayer then embarks on a mad dash through Pierre Ocean Park, with Pacho the Clown hot on their heels, like an IRS knowing you didn't pay your taxes. After a showdown more intense than a zombie rave, our Slayer emerges victorious, clutching the coveted blood drive like it's the last brain on Earth. Cue the collapsing Pierre, because apparently that's just how the Slayer rolled. Sue him. The Slayer, armed with their blood sample and a heart full of determination, marches straight into the Sterling Hotel to deliver the goods to Dr. Reed. But wait, plot twist alert, Dr. Reed is deep in conversation with none other than Lola, stirring up more drama than a zombie family feud at Thanksgiving dinner. Turns out these two go away back, like zombies and brains. Just when things couldn't get any crazier, Jimmy the Human Tornado bursts into the scene, shouting about Tesha, aka Dr. Reed's daughter, going off on a food hunt. Leave it to the Slayer to be the designated rescue ranger, tasked with bringing Tesha back from her culinary escapade. But the Slayer's no ordinary hero. He's a master negotiator and striking a deal with Tesha. They snag a direct line to Lola, while Tesha continues her own investigation into some shady data transfer shenanigans. Anyways, it's time for shopping spree at the OSK store, where the Slayer eavesdrops on a juicy conversation between Noah and Dr. Reed. Turns out Noah got the golden ticket too. He's immune, and to top it off, he's agreed to help Dr. Reed wipe up a vaccine faster than you can say zombie flu season. Armed with his newfound intel, the Slayer receives a snapshot of Dr. Reed's lab. Reaching Dr. Reed's lab, the daring Slayer stumbles upon poor Noah, who's been through more ups and downs than a roller coaster in an earthquake zone. Thanks to some questionable experiments, Noah's once legendary immunity is extinct as disco fever, leaving him about as lively as a deflated balloon at a birthday party. But hold on to your nutsies, folks, because Noah isn't ready to throw in the towel just yet. A jolt of electricity later, and he's back in action, transforming into a mutator. But the Slayer isn't about to let Noah have all the fun. They square off in a showdown, and the Slayer comes out on top, proving once and for all he is the apex predator, and that you do not mess with someone who got the moves like a Jagger. Just when things couldn't get any crazier and weirder, the Slayer goes full Hulk mode, rampaging through the scene like a bull in a china shop. Enter Tisha into the frame, the unexpected hero, who swoops in like a boss and gives the Slayer a reality check, leaving the feisty Slayer almost dead. But fear not, because just when it seems like the Slayer's luck has run out, Lola and her squad come charging in like the cavalry, ready to save the day, with a little help from their friends and a new CPR called the rebirth, the Slayer undergoes a transformation of epic proportions, becoming a Newman, a legendary being known as the Endpoint. And if Lola's ominous warning is anything to go by, it looks like our Newman got some cataclysmic level shenanigans to deal with. Commercial break. Humans are humans. End of commercial. Just kidding. Humans are humans who have had the autophagy activated in their DNA, but have not transformed into zombie while infected and capable of transmitting viruses to other individuals. They retain their humanity, described as the next step in humanity evolution and an autophagy hybrid. This grants them extraordinary abilities such as increased strength, speed, or the ability to enter into a rage of a fury. Newmen are also connected to hive mind, which allows them to communicate with one another telepathically. However, Newmans will slowly succumb to the autophagy unless they undergo a process of the rebirth. This is done by giving in to their zombie instinct and managing to regain their humanity. Those who fail the rebirth process will permanently transform into a zombie, but may still retain a portion of their former selves. Newmans are exceptionally rare individuals, with only one in a million becoming a Newman. This makes their blood the only known source for creating a cure. Back to you, narrator. Fair news, guy. Thanks. Lola drops a bombshell bigger than Godzilla's shoe size. There's no cure for the zombie infection. Talk about a buzzkill. But wait, it gets better. Just when the heroes think they've got shot at escaping this zombie-infested nightmare, Dr. Reed and Tesha pull a disappearing act worthy of Houdini himself, taking off in a helicopter before you can say hasta la vista baby. And guess who's left holding the bag? That's right, the Slayer. Back at the Searling Hotel, Jimmy spills the beans faster than a clumsy waiter at a spaghetti restaurant. Dr. Reed's off to a lap on Hollywood Boulevard. And what's the plan? Why, napping that helicopter, of course. But first, they've got to convince Emma to join the party, and that means buttering up Dayton. With Sam B's unexpected revelation that he's been bitten and he's not being enough immune, talk about fallen plot armor. The Slayers got more on their plate, but worry not, because they're not about to let a little zombie nipple slow them down. It's off to Hollywood Boulevard. They go, through tunnels scarier than a haunted house on a Halloween night. And just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder, Dr. Reed unveils his grand plan like a villain. He started the whole outbreak to find Newmans, because apparently they're the key to curing this whole mess. Talk about playing the long game. Why I say get ready, because Dr. Reed's dropping even more bombshells like a clumsy demolition expert. Turns out he stumbled upon a genetic time bomb in the human genome. When that sucker hits zero, it's game over for every single man, woman, and child on planet. Talk about a genetic apocalypse. Way to ruin everyone's day, dog. But wait, there's more. Dr. Reed's been playing around with Tesha's body since she was in kindergarten, like a mad scientist with a Lego set. He's gone and sprinkled some Newman blood in there, all in the name of creating the ultimate autophagy cure. Now that's what I call prenatal tinkering. Forget about the baby showers, Tisha got herself a genetic makeover party in her body. But the Slayer isn't about to let Dr. Reed get away with murder and all that stuff, literally. They face off in a showdown more epic than a rap battle between Shakespeare and Eminem. And let's just say things don't end well for our transformed All Talk Reed. With the cure in hand and curing the gang, it's time for goodbye to Emma, Peyton, Samby, as they fly off into the sunset. As for our Slayer, well, it looks like their adventure is far from over, because with Tisha by their side, who knows what kind of crazy shenanigans they'll get up to next. And as for future DLCs too.